Cronan Saga.
Cronan! I should have known. The demon looked for a moment alarmed, its arm mouths hissing. But then it widened its toothy maw in a jagged smile. I, Blixabog, vivisector of families, high supplicant of Smoothjahaz, will be your end. The demon raised itself up to its full height. It towered over them in terrible majesty. It took in a large breath, swelling its pulsing chest. Behold, the abyss. It splayed its giant mouth wider. A red light glows inside it, hotter, deeper, more unholy. And with a roar, suddenly everything around you is fire, incredible heat. You smell the acrid note of your hair burning off. You flail wildly as you feel your cap melting onto your scalp. You would surely have turned to ash were it not for the man blocking the flames. He shudders as he holds them back, using his guitar as a shield. He presses his shoulders against the back of the instrument, grimacing as he strains to hold back the flame's incredible heat and power. He shoots you a stern look. Calm yourself, peasant. He digs his boots into the charred earth and endures. The flames abate, and the man is left wobbling and smoking, but still standing. The demon surveyed the destruction it had wrought. A waste of my talents, said Blixabarg derisively. You feel the hot mixture of your scalp and cap oozing down your forehead. Riftblade! The strings had snapped in the intense heat. He ran his fingers along the fretboard. Damn you! Thank you! But I must confess, I did not expect to find you so soon. As the demon regarded the man, its smile deepened. Cronan was clearly weakened. He was smoking, barely alive after blocking the flames. It salivated, its tongue stinger leaking poison greedily as it slowly advanced. Sensing danger, you call to him, but the man does not react. Whether his body or his spirit has been crushed, as the demon approaches, he makes no effort to escape. You knew what was coming next, what had happened to Billy. The man simply looked down at his scarred instrument. Riftblade, he whispered. The pick dropped from his fingers. The demon loomed over him. Now give me, the demon quivered in anticipation, your shred. The magic of Smoothjahaz won't protect you here, the man said, still looking at his instrument. He spat, then looked up. The demon noticed the fierce glint in his eye, too late. You are my quarry! At the final word, the man leapt with incredible power, straight towards the demon. He screamed and grabbed the guitar by the neck, turning it around to cleave the blade upwards into the foul beast's belly. The demon bit at the man, snapping its terrible jaws, but it was too late. He buried his axe into the fleshy stomach, using every muscle in his giant frame to sink the blade deep into the hot bile-black flaps of demon thorax. Blixabarg screamed as it reeled backwards, lifting the man, whose guitar axe was still sunk hilt-deep in demon belly upwards. Against a torrent of caustic blood, he held tightly to the neck of his guitar axe, his legs swinging wildly. His boot caught purchase on the demon's exposed rib. Stamping down on it, he thrust himself again, piercing the gaping wound he had just cut with his entire body. Blixabarg let out an ear-ripping scream as Cronan bored into its chest. The demon staggered as Cronan, hacking and ripping, disappeared inside. Blixabark held the wound. Its blood poured through its clawed fingers. The demon's eyes widened and bulged in what you could only imagine was extraordinary pain. Then it closed them and tilted its head back strangely, almost meditatively. Its expression, moments ago anguished, relaxed. Its face unspooled into a dark, sickening smile as its thorax sealed up, enclosing the man inside. And leaving you, your scalp still slowly dribbling down on the charred earth. Alone.
Delicious! What delicious strength!
It cooed exultantly, its poison gland excreting rhythmically. It was black, thick, molten black, and it burned. It crushed him. He could feel his skin beginning to melt under the intense pressure and heat, dissolving in the acid, poison black of demon innard. How it burned! Cronan strained against his instinct to scream. The tiniest ingestion of his surroundings would mean certain death, or worse. The burning demon organs crushed him, constricting his chest and pressing at his stomach to expel the last bit of air. Lesser men would have panicked in this void, caustic, inescapable doom hanging so heavily everywhere, and fled the anguish and the pain, welcoming the succor of death. And too was Cronan tempted, but his mission, his people, the souls of countless victims, past and future, in Tarkus and on Earth, drove him on. For them, to pain, he would never surrender. And somewhere in the abyss, his target lay. He could hear it, the terrible, booming drum of the demon's heart. Cronan churned his arms against the burning weight of demon flesh and began to swim, arm over arm in the blackness. He kept his eyes closed. Doom, doom. The sound reverberated through his body as his skin melted. It lay somewhere ahead. His lungs burned, begging for air, but he struggled onwards, deeper, refusing the need to breathe. He did not have long. Doom, doom. In the demon flesh, the booming of the heart was close, but everywhere, and his movements became confused. He nearly lost himself in the void, his consciousness untamed, but falling into nothingness. A stone in the ocean sinking. But again and again, Cronan raised his arm, defying the crushing blackness with every clawing stroke. For a lifetime, he battled through the black, coagulated infinity, pain and fatigue, stretching time into an indeterminate, ragged gash as the demon's innards assaulted him. He barely had the strength to keep his mouth closed as the bile pried at his lips, threatening to squirt through his clenched teeth. It pulsed upwards into his nose. Tiny worms of demon filth violated his nostrils, wriggling through his sinuses, searching for his brain. The awful pressure to breathe, to give in, to let the darkness take away the fire in his lungs, tempted him, and fatigue makes cowards of us all. Cronan opened his mouth. And screamed. blowing out the tiny remnant of air in his lungs to buy himself one more stroke towards his target, one more moment to hold back the flesh, one more chance to fell this abomination. A blackness in an abyss, an inversion of the sun, of life, of everything. A oneness of superlative evil, the soul string of a demon. Blixabarg finished purring and turned again to you, its smile widening and cruel, its predatory eyes locking onto yours. "Yes," was all it said. You refused to run. That much you now knew. Blixabarg advanced, gloating, drawing out your death undoubtedly for its pleasure, but its expression changed. A look of alarm flashed across its face, and it began to gurgle. It seized. The guttural rumblings rose in pitch and intensity, forcing their way out of its throat in violent palpitations. It stumbled and let out a disturbing, otherworldly cry, a rotten saxophone of a shriek, a putrid rattle, a mewing excrement of noise. Its chest bulged and sagged, the cry both rising and falling in pitch simultaneously, reverberating back on itself, doubling in horrid intensity. Blixabarg's flesh strained, stretched, and finally split. From its chest, the man it called Cronan burst forth, his hands piercing through the burning demon viscera. With a desperate, gooey gasp, he placed his arms on either side of the demon's ribcage and forced apart the chest cavity with titanic strength. Roar! Snapping bones and sinew, he spread the demon chest wide. Chunks of billy spilled out, hot and half-digested. "I have your soul string!" Cronan shouted, skin melting as he clutched the midnight purple cord plucked from demon heart. Blixabarg's splayed carcass sagged as it let out the final ichor-laden gurgles of its death rattle. Cronan stumbled forward, dragging himself from the steaming mound of flesh before tumbling to the ground. His chest heaved, and his vision blurred, but he held the soul string firm in his grasp. A time passed as they both caught their breath. Thank you." The man gave him a small nod. Alex looked again at the demon corpse. Who are you?" he asked weakly. Still steaming, the man turned, looking down at the tiny, burned-up peasant boy. I am Cronan." They went through the remains, Cronan to retrieve Riftblade, and Alex to gather his brother. It took some time to figure out which chunks went where. Alex laid Billy's skin flap of face over the mangled remains of his skull. "Now you see, boy, the horrors of Smooth Jahaz, sorcerer of the East." He gestured to the steaming remains. "This demon was his apostle, and a portent of things to come for your world. My home, Tarkus, has been overrun." Cronan's tone, though still commanding, became pained. "They have committed untold atrocities, and my people have burned from the jazz. We fight on in our last stronghold of Carcador, but our situation is desperate.
But why? Why have they come here? Alex asked.
It is because there is Shred here too on your Earth. Shred gives us power, gives us honor, sustains us. When you ask what it is that gives a warrior his ferocity, a friend his loyalty, a guitarist his spirit, or a lover his heart, that is Shred. Cronan clenched his fist. And it protected us! Until the magic of Smooth-Jahaz. His voice trailed off. But your Earth has a music, heavy metal, so strong that I believe it can rip through this evil sorcery and free my people. Cronan looked back at Alex. The presence of this demon means that Smooth-Jahaz must also sense it. Fear it. Judas Priest was right. Cronan sat down and unspooled the demon's soul string and began to string it up on Riftblade. A low E string, one of 6. Alex watched him, thinking.
Does that mean more of these things will come?
Yes, more vile creatures will come, but more may already be here, came Cronan's chilling response. Alex looked down and noticed something among the remains. There was a foreign chunk, from neither Billy nor the demon, faintly glowing. It was a body. He picked it up and inspected it. Feathers. It was the body of a crow. He held it up to Cronan, unsure of what to do. Cronan wiped away the demon juices and held it to his ear. It lives! Yes, this is a fine creature. Under my wing, you will grow. He placed it gingerly on his shoulder. Alex looked back at the ground. Billy, he said softly. They looked at Billy, all the pieces. Cronan put a firm hand on Alex's shoulder. Kindle your hatred. Fuel your shred. Young peasant, before you return to your farm and contemplate your brother's tragic demise, I have questions. He looked at Alex with piercing intensity. Do you know of the merchant Lei Feng? He was in contact with Judas Priest, our dream wizard. Alex blinked, surprised by the question.
You mean Mr. Lei? He has that old antique shop by the harbor. But I don't know much more than that.
Cronan nodded solemnly, his eyes distant, as though weighing the name. He glanced down at Riftblade. Its strings snapped and lifeless, and a flicker of thought passed over his rugged face. I need a steed. I must find the others of my warband. We were separated in our journey here.
A steed?
Alex scratched the back of his neck. Cronan didn't respond.
Well, my dad...
Alex hesitated again, nervously shifting his weight.
He drives a Bronco. Is that what you mean?
His voice wavered.
I guess you could borrow it, since he's out of town.
The words felt heavy in his mouth. An image of his father's disapproving glare appeared in his mind. Nevertheless, this man had saved his life, and he felt he had to return the favor. And, Cronan put a hand on his stomach, I need sustenance.
Cronan Saga.